Hey everyone, welcome back. So, this is the sixth video I'm doing where I'm looking at all the individual albums that are in Bruce Springsteen's new box set, Tracks to the Lost Albums. So, there's no real rhyme or reason why I'm doing them in any particular order, except it's the order that makes the most sense to me because I'm listening to these one at a time, and I'm trying to fully digest them and get into them. And once I do that, then I do a video. And I'm listening to them pretty much one at a time. There's a little bit of an overlap, and when I first listened to these, I listened to them all the way through all albums a couple times. But this is one that was kind of easy to ignore. It's sort of like the redheaded stepchild of the box set. It doesn't. The album's not really tied to any particular time period, where a lot of the records are sort of sibling records to released records. Like Inyo is a sister record kind of to Devils and Dust, and Somewhere North of Nashville is a sister record to Ghost of Tom Joad. And what's the other one? Twilight Hours is sort of a sibling to Western Stars. This album was largely made to sort of appease a certain segment of his fan base. Bruce Springsteen has said in interviews, and it might even be in the liner notes for this, that he wanted to throw together something that would lighten the mood a little bit, give him a little bit more of an E Street flavor, because a lot of these albums are kind of serious. They're more introspective. They're more acoustic. They're more stripped down. They're much more Bruce Springsteen, the solo artist, than the boss or Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band. You're not getting those legendary songs, outtakes that people are bending over backwards to need to hear, bootlegs, whatever. I mean, certain segment of his audience is way, way more looking forward to any scraps from Born to Run or from Born in the USA than they are any of these albums, to be frank. But this is the one that was sort of put together, I guess, to sort of appease that segment. And at first I didn't think too much of it. First listen, second listen, all the way through. It's got Rain the River on it, which was a single that kind of announced this whole thing. For at least 2 weeks, that's all we had to go off of. And I didn't think at the time that it was that memorable of a single. I have kind of changed my mind a little bit about that, but let's get into the record. So the album begins with 3 songs by Joe Grushecky, or co-writes, I should say, with Joe Grushecky. He put out an album. Now, I'm not that familiar with this guy at all, but he put out an album around like 1999, 1998, 1999, and co-wrote 3 songs, or more songs. There's 3 of them on this record, with Bruce Springsteen. And Bruce Springsteen apparently credits him for kind of getting him back into rock, or giving him his rock voice back. So the album begins with 3 songs that are co-writes, which is kind of unusual for Springsteen. He's not a guy that usually does co-writes. Most of the stuff he does, he writes by himself. There's a few examples here and there. The most prominent one, the one that most people know, is a song he did with Patti Smith, Because the Night. But even that's not a real co-write. Meaning that it's not like 2 people were in a room. It's not like him and Patti were in a room together. Bruce Springsteen wrote it, hadn't quite finished it. I think his management gave it to Patti's management, and Patti finished it. But there are a few songs here and there. But this is interesting. This album begins with 3 co-writes, and it's songs he did with Joe Grushecky. I hope I'm saying his name right. Another singer-songwriter. Mostly, I guess, on his album American Babylon. This is the mid-90s. He co-wrote some of those songs. And this album kicks off with 3 songs that are co-writes or written around that time. I've heard one of them I seeked out and listened to on Apple Music just to listen to it. I'm not an expert on Joe Grushecky at all. The only reason I know him is because of his connection to Bruce Springsteen. But I hadn't heard these songs before. These are not songs that I seeked out on bootlegs, nor did I really know about the co-writes, other than I knew he did some songs with him, but I never really listened to them. Anyway, these are 3 really great rock songs. You know, this is a kind of Springsteen rock stuff that I like. I've talked about earlier, and I've got a full review of it, full video dedicated to Somewhere North of Nashville, which I really like. Highly recommend watching that if you haven't yet. I think it's a great record. I think it's one of the best in this collection. My problem is some of those rockabilly songs are so jarring, and there's so much of the Springsteen I don't really care for. I must say the rockers on this one, like I'm Not Sleeping or Idiot's Delight, I like that kind of rocker from him. It feels what he should be doing. It feels kind of mature. And this record overall, I find to be a really pleasant, good Springsteen record. It's been really hot here lately, and there's certain like summer music, like music that just kind of feels right to put on the car and turn up a little bit. And because I've been listening to so much Springsteen, I must say that something like Inyo or Faithless isn't really music I want to put on the car and turn up a little bit. This album is different that way. This feels like the type of Springsteen record you could put on in the car and listen to on your way to the beach, or you could throw it on a party at a party. It's very like I said, pleasant. That makes it sound really boring, but it's kind of like your typical record, like a Springsteen record, where it's got some great rockers on it. It's got some great mellower songs. There's nothing at all that offends on here. There's nothing on here that's jarring. I think it flows really well. So I must say I'm really impressed by it in ways I didn't think I would be. And it sounds really full. It sounds really developed, even though I guess it spans songs from like 1994 to 2012 or something like that. It doesn't really sound like it. It sounds very much like a whole piece. Like it could be the follow up to Letter to You. He could have put this out, and I don't think people automatically would have thought like, oh, this is an older record. Although you never know with some of his critics, especially on the message boards, are just absolutely brutal with this guy. I don't really understand why, but this is a really nice record. I have nothing bad to say about this record, but let's get into it a little bit more. First track, I'm Only Sleeping, or I'm Not Sleeping, I'm Only Resting My Eyes. I just like that line a lot. Idiot's Delight just has this kind of hook to it. It's a song about just hiding out and kind of avoiding life for a little while. But, hey, maybe he'll be back at the bars. Maybe he'll be back to see his friends and stuff. But he's not sleeping. He's only resting his eyes. So taking a break from the world. I'm Not Sleeping and Idiot's Delight just feel like these rock songs that could be done by the E Street Band. You put them on, they sound great. I love that whole line. I'm not sleeping, I'm only resting my eyes. Just kind of taking a break from the world. Like, man, I'll be back later. I'm not sleeping right now. I'm just resting my eyes. Love that whole sentiment. Love Idiot's Delight. One song goes right into another. Just has this great kind of bar band feel to it. But like I said, you could see the E Street Band doing it live as well. For all intents and purposes, this could be the E Street Band. Another Thin Lines, another great song. The Great Depression is probably one of the saddest songs, really, that Bruce has done. Although when it plays, when you listen to it, it doesn't really sound that way. But if you look at the lyrics, there's not really any resolution to it. It's one of these breakup songs, sad songs about losing it all. But a lot of times in those songs, he wakes up from a dream or it's something that haunts him. But this one, the guy's walking away, or he's just wishing. He's wishing he hadn't walked away, I think. The sun and some people destroy the things they built so carefully until their love is lost and hanging on barely. Well, this is my story of how everything good in my possession was lost. This is the Great Depression. The Great Depression. Interesting to call it the Great Depression. Of course, your mind goes to other places, including a lot of the things that he writes about with Ghost of Tom Joad. But this is the Great Depression that comes from making mistakes and losing someone. This guy's got his oar in the water and he's just rowing with the tide, looking for lost love, wondering where he is, just feeling very lost. I can't say the song really hooks me, but I love the lyrics to it. And if there's one thing I want to say about this album, it just flows. The whole album just plays really well. It's a very, I hate keep using the word pleasant, but it's true. It's a very pleasant record. Rain on the River is kind of a disturbing song because the guy kills his girlfriend, I guess. Down at the water, I held my Marie. She said, now, Johnny, your love means no more to me. Okay, so she's breaking up with him. Then he says, in bloody boots, he stood on shallow ground, her long black hair beneath him falling down like rain in the river. This reminds me of Down by the River, Neil Young, Down by the River, I Shot My Baby. Still don't know what she did to him, and it's kind of a crazy song if you think about it. We're all singing along, Down by the River, I Shot My Baby. Rain in the River is not really a song I'm going to sing along with that much, but it's interesting song, interesting like murder ballad in the form of a rock song by Springsteen. Uh, can kind of see why he didn't put that on a record. Interesting that he did put it out as the first single off not only this album but off of the entire tracks too, to represent it. I think there are two highlights to this album, Perfect World, and one of them is the next song, If I Could Only Be Your Lover. This song in a way reminds me of Dinner at 8 off of Twilight Hours, where he's kind of picturing a perfect day and he doesn't have it, and he really wants it. You know, morning coffee, wake the kids, kitchen warms to start the day, and she's got a summer dress. There's a picnic. He wants to hear her voice on the phone. You know, wants security, wants to know someone's there. If only he could be her lover, and of course she's gone. She's not there. Another sad song, kind of like the Great Depression, although I think this vocal is so good and I love this song. I think, like I said, I think this is one of the highlights of the record. This was another one I guess was going to be on Wrecking Ball. I swear my opinion of Wrecking Ball would be so different if a song like If I Could Only Be Your Lover had been chosen to be on Wrecking Ball. Cutting Knife, another really strong song. You are my cutting knife, you cut me through and through. Darling, you are my cutting knife, your blade is sharp and true. Moves on to You Lifted Me Up. It sounds kind of like a spiritual song, but in the liner notes of this, he says he could be talking about a woman. I kind of take it that way. Just upbeat song. Kind of, I almost see it as an interlude to the next song, which is one of the highlights, if not the highlight. I think the two highlights are If I Could Only Be Your Lover, but also this last song, Perfect World. This is a song from 1997. Apparently, this is something I could totally see, you know, with Inyo or with what became Devils and Dust, or Devils and Dust and Inyo, kind of one record, all from that same area. You can see it kind of working with that. I could see it as a closing song for one of those records. It's a closing song instead for this record. In a perfect world, or nearly perfect world, the harshness of the day would be broken by the rain. A shattered heart would piece itself together again. He'd have the guts to let our love stand. I'd never let you slip through my hands. In a perfect world, in a nearly perfect world. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen, just a throwaway song he sticks at the end of Perfect World. No, it is not a throwaway song. It's a quite great song. I could see him doing this one live. This one, if he toured, if he did a solo tour, I could definitely see him playing it then. But then again, he's got 82 other songs to choose from off all these different unreleased records. So that is my summation. That is my take on Perfect World. The sixth video I've done. I've got one more I'm going to do, and that would be the one for 1983, the sessions from 1983, the LA sessions. It's one that's taken a little time for me to get into. I wanted to do it justice, so look for that coming up. After that, I'll just do kind of a rundown and have some fun with it, just looking at all these records, just talking about them as a whole, ranking them, that kind of thing. So thank you so much for watching all these. Watching this one. If you haven't watched the other ones, there's a link below or in the bio, in the description, that has links to all those. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of Perfect World. If you haven't listened to it, don't dismiss it. You know, it's not. A lot of people think, oh, it's like High Hopes. It's just a collection of songs. I don't like High Hopes. I like Perfect World. So I think it's a very cohesive record. Like I said, put it in your car, play it when people are over. It just sounds like a Bruce Springsteen record, and it sounds really good.